Mission Impossible 3: Shadow Protocol. The Vanishing Agent. The movie opens at night in the bustling streets of Marrakesh. IMF agent Daniel Cross is completing a high-level intelligence exchange when masked operatives ambush him. As drones descend and the crowd scatters, Cross sends one final coded message before he's captured. A strange burn symbol with 3 intersecting lines is left at the scene, marking the return of a group long believed dead. Ethan's forced return. Ethan Hunt is living quietly in the mountains, finally retired from the IMF. But his peace is shattered when Luther appears at his cabin. IMF needs him back, because Daniel Cross wasn't just any agent, he was Ethan's protege, someone Ethan personally trained. Ethan hesitates, knowing what returning to the field means, but the moment he hears Daniel's distress signal, he agrees. The Shadow Protocol. Back at IMF headquarters, Director Briggs reveals a devastating truth. A rogue organization called the Veil has activated Shadow Protocol, a catastrophic sequence that can erase global security networks, military satellites, and intelligence databases in hours. If completed, nations would be blind and powerless. The Veil's goal isn't war, it's total destabilization. New team assembly. To confront this threat, Ethan must rebuild a team. Benji joins excitedly, Luther provides the strategic backbone, and IMF assigns a new member, Mira Voss, a cyber operations prodigy with an encrypted background file. Ethan senses secrets in her past but accepts her because the mission requires her brilliance. The Marrakesh Clue. In Marrakesh, the team retraces Daniel Cross's last steps. After searching rooftops, markets, and alleyways, they find that Cross hid a data chip inside the base of a street musician's violin. On the chip is a fractured map containing half of a key that can unlock the Shadow Protocol countdown. They now know, Cross was trying to prevent the end of global systems. The mastermind revealed. Deep analysis reveals a disturbing name, Kade Ravan, a former IMF strategist who vanished after clashing with superiors. Known for his belief that humanity must collapse before it evolves, Ravan has resurfaced as the mastermind of the Veil. Mira reacts strangely, hinting at personal ties, but hides the reasons. Heist at the Sky Vault. To access the rest of the key, the team must infiltrate Sky Vault, an ultra-secure data center floating above the Atlantic, tethered by magnetic anchors. Ethan performs an insane freefall jump from a stealth drone, landing on the floating structure while evading laser grids. Inside, the team races against time to download the core encryption codes before Sky Vault's AI locks them inside. Mira's secret. During the extraction, Mira disables a trap far too quickly, raising suspicion. Ethan confronts her, and she reluctantly reveals she was once a child operative trained by Kade Ravan. She escaped him years ago, but she fears Ravan sees her as a daughter and might try to reclaim her. The team is shaken, unsure if Mira is a liability or their biggest asset. The double ambush. Before they leave Sky Vault, the Veil strikes from the sky with magnetic gliders and combat drones. A fierce rooftop fight breaks out. Though Ethan retrieves the downloaded data, the Veil steals the other half of the Shadow Protocol key. Now both sides hold half, meaning either can control the global shutdown if they reach the final server first. A trail to Istanbul. The codes reveal the next clue hidden in Istanbul. The team travels through the city's ancient cisterns, where the Veil has set explosive traps. An intense chase erupts on motorized boats through narrow, water-filled tunnels as assassins attack from both sides. Mira saves Benji's life, earning back some trust. The betrayal setup. Back at their temporary base, Benji discovers encrypted messages hidden within Mira's old IMF files. It appears she communicated with Ravan weeks ago. Ethan demands the truth. Mira insists Ravan forced contact and she resisted. But the rift grows. The mission now balances on a knife's edge, trust no longer comes easily. Confrontation in the ruins. Tracking the next lead to ancient Byzantine ruins, Ethan isolates Mira and forces a confession. Through tears, she admits Ravan raised her like his own child after orphaning her village during a Black Ops test mission. She hates what he did, but he remains deeply tied to her past. Ethan must decide whether to believe her, or treat her as a threat. The world blackout begins. Suddenly, Shadow Protocol activates prematurely. Across the world, lights flicker out, air traffic collapses, GPS fails, and global markets crash. Countries prepare for war, unaware of the real enemy. The veil broadcasts a message: humanity must start again. The team realizes they have less than 12 hours before complete collapse. The Himalayan fortress. The remaining signal points to a secret fortress carved into the side of a Himalayan mountain, Raven's last hideout and the final server location for Shadow Protocol. Reaching it means scaling a deadly vertical ice wall under roaring blizzards. Ethan leads the climb, nearly falling to his death as avalanches thunder past. Raven's philosophy. Inside the fortress, Ethan finally confronts Kade Ravan. Calm and charismatic, Raven explains his plan: to bring the world to its knees so nations can rebuild without corruption. He sees himself as a purifier, not a criminal. In his eyes, Ethan's IMF is the real threat, protectors of a broken system. Myra's decision. Raven offers Mira a place at his side, promising to finish the work they started years ago. Mira is torn between the man who raised her and the team that gave her a second chance. In a dramatic moment, she sides with Ethan, handing him the final override code. Raven's heartbreak turns into fury. The impossible chase. Raven unleashes drone fighters across the mountain range. Ethan leaps off the fortress in a wingsuit, diving between razor-sharp cliffs while drones fire relentlessly. Benji guides him through the storm, while Luther hacks the drone network to disable the pursuit. It is one of the most breathtaking chase sequences in franchise history. Server room showdown. Re-entering the fortress through a hidden breach, Ethan reaches the core server chamber. There, he and Raven engage in a brutal hand-to-hand battle surrounded by spinning data turbines. Raven sets the fortress to self-destruct, declaring that if he cannot remake the world, he will take Ethan with him. Ethan narrowly escapes the blast zone with the override device. A sacrifice in silence. But the override doesn't work automatically, someone must manually pull the final switch from inside the collapsing server chamber. Mira volunteers, knowing Raven won't stop hunting her anyway. She tears off her IMF badge and enters the chamber. With seconds before detonation, she pulls the switch. The global systems reboot. Shadow Protocol collapses. And the chamber explodes. The final message. Back at IMF, Ethan mourns Myra's sacrifice. But days later, an encrypted message arrives on a drive with no origin. When Ethan opens it, Myra's voice whispers, "Ethan, I'm alive. Don't find me." The screen shows coordinates deep in an unknown region, proof she survived, but is being hunted. The film ends with Ethan staring at the coordinates, setting up the next impossible mission.